Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and we are at the very end of our winter sports calendar. We're in the postseason. We're deep in the postseason for swimming and wrestling, and now we're getting close in basketball. We're winding down our schedules here. We're middle of February now, so we're close to the end. We have some great games still coming up, some great regular season games that have taken place, but some really, really high-profile ones still coming up ahead here, so we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start with the basketball side of things this past week. Pretty busy slate overall, boys side. Tuesday we had a full 4 games here of Cape Jackson teams, starting with over at Cape Central. Pretty bad lopsided loss for the Tigers. They lost to Scott City 54-21. The loss is vindicated in some ways when you look at how good Scott City is playing right now. Spoiler alert, I guess just past now Saturday they hosted Sykeston. That was a 3-point ball game. They lost to Sykeston 83-80. No moral victories, but Scott City showed they're kind of the real deal in that game, and they showed it against Cape Central. They just shut down the Tigers. I mean, they gave up 21 points. Cape just once again, I think the last episode I said, is Cape capable of scoring enough to beat the Scott City team? The answer clearly is a no. So things going in the wrong direction. Kind of stayed that way for Cape Central. Unfortunately, this week it was a bad week. They played some really good teams. Also Tuesday, 3 more winners though. 3-1 here in Cape Jackson. So the Indians, they hosted Crothersville. That was senior night. We're back. And they murdered Crothersville. It was 82-29. The, red and black Tigers really had no answer for Jackson. Jackson just kind of walked up and down the court, shot layups. Crothersville was without some kids. I know they had, maybe some injury issues, maybe some other issues, off the floor issues that occurred. So they're missing a couple of kids, and they didn't really have much room to spare as it was against Jackson, and the Indians just blew them away. 82-29. Shout out to the 2 seniors there. Ty Forrest had 17. Will Thomas had 13. Jory Toma had 16. There's not a lot to talk about. It was just very lopsided, one-sided game. I think 15 guys came in the game for Jackson. I think 13 of them scored. So pretty good day at the office. I think the only 2 scores were the only 2 people who didn't score were Brock and Blaine Reagan, which was kind of funny. Those guys just accounted for like 25 steals. So you win some, you lose some. Also that was up in Hillsboro. Notre Dame went on the road, won that 58-52. This was a game Notre Dame really had to hold on late. Hillsboro made a late push, tried to come back, try to win that ball game. But shout out to Notre Dame. They were able to take care of business. I thought this would be a pretty evenly matched game when I talked about it last week. Both teams are I would say pretty similar. They do different things, obviously, but there's going to be issues I thought that Hillsboro would present. They have good size. They have really, really quick guards that made things kind of difficult, but Notre Dame did a good job. They hit shots when they needed to late down the stretch there. Cole Adams hit 2 huge threes in the last minute or 2, so he stepped up. Guys made enough free throws down the stretch run there, and they got out of there with the win. So anytime you can go on the road up there in that, kind of no man's land between Perryville and St. Louis, Hillsboro, Farmington, Fredericktown, Park Hill Central, all that region. Anytime you can go up there, get a win on the road, it's pretty nice. And then finally, speaking of teams in that area, Saxony back here at home knocked off Jefferson 61-59. Pretty impressive win in my book from Saxony. This is a Jefferson team that they've really struggled with as of late. Earlier in the year, they played in the opening season tournament at Crystal City, and that was a murder. Getting graphic here. Jefferson beat them 77-43, and then only for Saxony to completely flip the script, 61-59. The win of the season, I would say, for the Saxony team, the best win of the year. Really, really impressive. I mentioned I've mentioned many times that this last month of the season is going to be super tough for Saxony. You know, I like the way they're playing. They're playing better basketball, but just look at the schedule. It's going to be tough. I mean, you're playing Jefferson, Notre Dame, St. Vincent, Chaffee, Twin Rivers, Scott City, at Kennett. Like it's a meat grinder here at the end of the season for Saxony, but it was nice to see them pick up a win there against Jefferson in a game that they, you know, pretty much nobody would have picked them to win. So that was really cool to see. Then you skip forward back to the meat grinder. Unfortunately for Saxony, they went on the road. They played at Chaffee. Chaffee's playing really, really good ball right now. They went on the road to they went down to Three Rivers and played Tornersville, won that ball game in overtime. They're a really good team. You know, I love their guard duo of Fowler and McMullen. They're one of the most fun groups to watch in the area as far as small schools go. And they took it to Saxony. 66-31 was the final. I didn't know what the margin would be, but it was kind of an anticipated outcome in my opinion. Then we move on to Friday. We had a busy slate again Friday. Pretty good group of games overall, though. Notre Dame really, really impressed me. They blew out Poplar Bluff. It was here at Notre Dame, 83-53. Poplar Bluff is struggling. I don't know what's wrong with Poplar Bluff. Poplar Bluff should be better at basketball than they are. I mean, I know the Hurd kid was going to be a big help, obviously, that he's out for the year. But, I mean, you've got the quick athletic guards that they have. And, like, what's his name? Lathan, Xavier Jones, I think. You've got Dallas Williams. You've got the Corbin Thomas kid. You got the 6'8" Bledsoe kid. I don't know. Poplar Bluff is broken. Something's gone afoul there, and they've really struggled. But Notre Dame took advantage and blew them out. So shout out to Notre Dame. Very fun win. Always nice to beat Poplar Bluff, especially when you beat the brakes off of them. A lot of blowouts on Friday. Down, Highway 25 to Jackson. The Indians blew out another Boot Heel team. This one, New Madrid County Central, 56-22. Like I said, it's kind of similar to the Crothersville game. It's about what I expected. New Madrid beat that team by 1, beat Crothersville by 1. So you can't always compare apples to apples, but I anticipated a pretty big win, pretty big lopsided win in favor of Jackson. That was the case. Got to give a shout out to New Madrid, though. Early in the ballgame, they played really tough. They made things hard on Jackson. It was a low-scoring first half. I think it was 27-14 at halftime. Jory Toma equaled New Madrid's total. He had 22 points. They had 22 points. So big props to him. I think Ernst had 14 in the ballgame. Toma just got downhill, man. He was just getting to the rack over and over and over and over again. Shot a ton of free throws, made a lot of them, which is encouraging. For the Indians, they're an up-and-down free throw shooting team. If they're able to hit free throws here down the stretch, that should help them win some of these close ball games they might see against some really good teams. And then once you get into the postseason, going to be the case pretty often. New Madrid played tough. They kept Jackson off the offensive glass, which is obviously a big part of the Indians' game. They crush people on the glass. Will Thomas, Jory Toma, obviously Ernst, Reagan. These kids hit the glass super, super hard. It's one of the best groups of rebounding guards the Jacksons had, like, in memory. So it's a big point of emphasis for them. New Madrid did a good job taking that away. New Madrid also did a great job of getting back defensively, especially early in the game, but the levee kind of broke there in the second half. It's once you're not hitting shots, and this Jackson team, there's nobody better at limiting people's ability to make shots than Jackson, I think, in all of Southeast Missouri. And they held New Madrid to 22 points. Their season low coming into the game was 44. So Jackson had that. So, I mean, it's really, really impressive showing, blowing out a team like that. And speaking of blowouts, Cape Central, again, they played Sykes in this go-around. Lost that 72-42. It was respectable early. It was a relatively close game early. But the Bulldogs just pulled away. They hit, a million threes. For Cape, Jaden Johnson led the way with 14 points. He is a guy who can make shots, can play well out on the perimeter for them. But overall, I was trying to scroll through the article real quick of the game. Sykeston hit like 16, 17 threes, 18 threes, something like that, something crazy. hit a million threes. And when Sykeston can shoot like that, they're going to beat people. They're going to beat anybody. So we'll talk about Sykeston a little bit more later on. But, yeah, things got away from Cape Central, and they got away in a hurry there in the second half, and Sykeston blew them out by 30. So tough break there on the boys' side. Tough week for Cape Central. A couple of really good teams, Scott City, Sykeston, who are some of the better teams in the area, regardless of class. So they go 0 for 2, but pretty successful weeks for other teams, I would say. Notre Dame going undefeated, Jackson going undefeated. Jackson now at 21-1, I believe. So incredible year for them. They're still undefeated in the SEMO conference. Sykeston still undefeated in the SEMO conference. Those two will be meeting. We'll talk about that meeting here in a moment. Looking at girls basketball from this past week, it's kind of a disappointing week. There's some opportunities to win some impressive games. There's opportunities to win games that I thought they should win, and some teams just did not win games that I thought they should win. And so overall, I'll just talk about it. Cape, I mentioned this on the last pod. During the pod, the game ended. Cape lost to Kennett. Cape had a lead in the fourth quarter. Cape was winning at the beginning of this fourth quarter, and then they ended up losing by 14. So that was a tough break the way that ended. They did not close well. Down south at Portageville, Saxony got blown out 76-46. I get it in some ways. I would like to see, I think they're still a year or so away from being at that level, being competitive at that level. But some of these games against top tier competition in the boot heel, we'll get to it. Another one here in a second. Kennett, Portageville, whoever it is. I would like to see these gaps be a little bit more manageable for the Crusaders, but they lose by 30 down there at Portageville. Unfortunate way to go out. And then Notre Dame was the lone winner on this last Monday. They beat Dexter 34-30. Look, Dexter is very, very down, and this is a team that I thought everybody up here should beat. We'll get there in a second. Notre Dame took care of business. Very low-scoring game, 34-30, like I said. It was points were tough to come by, but Notre Dame did enough. They scored enough points. They played really, really well defensively. Dexter has one girl that's pretty solid. Minley is her last name. They did a good job not letting her just completely cook them. And they held on down the stretch. So shout out to the Bulldogs getting a win, getting a SEMO conference win. Always tough. And another loss here. Probably the game of the week. Not probably, definitely the game of the week, maybe in the entire state, was Principia and Jackson. Jackson went up there to Principia. The Indians lose 49-43. This was a tough one. This was a game last year. It was also it was disgustingly low scoring. I think Jackson beat them down here 45-35, something like that. So it was a very physical game. It was a knockdown, drag out fight. Just tough, athletic defensive teams going at each other. And Jackson played bad. When you look at the numbers are bad. They played hard. They played very, very competitively. But offensively, I guess I'll say. Offensively, and then some other areas were a major issue. And, you talk about it all the time. Coaches do. There's no moral victories, blah, 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 blah. I know they say that. But, you look at some of the numbers, and the fact that Jackson only lost by 6 really kind of shows you the level of the defense against a top-flight team. Jackson and Principia are top 10 teams, regardless of class, in the entire state, I would say. Principia is number 1 in class 3. And, they're up there. They're up there, Incarnate Words by themselves. And you've got that next tier of teams, like a Lee Summit West, a Jackson, a Principia, Corhay Zoo, maybe a Lutheran St. Charles, maybe teams like that. They're in that next kind of section of teams that are all kind of around similar ability. But anyway, as I said, no moral victories, but listen to some of these numbers. Jackson shot 3 of 15 from 3. They went 4 of 9 from the free throw line. Also, that's another issue. This team does not shoot free throws well. They've got to shoot better from the free throw line. Meanwhile, Principia didn't shoot well. They went 11 of 19, but they did shoot 10 more free throws than the Indians did. Jackson gave up 14 offensive rebounds, and Jackson turned it over 18 times. and they only lost by 6. So, once again, no moral victories, but you can kind of take some things away from that. Hey, defense, they say defense travels. It did. So I commend them on that. They didn't go away. Principia kind of pushed ahead. And Jackson had a chance to fold and just take the ball, go home, say, well, this is over. And they really, really fought down the stretch. I think they went all freshmen, sophomores down the stretch there in the fourth quarter. So, shout out to those kids. Kate Deck led the team in scoring, 14 points. Her and everybody else didn't really have great shooting games. But it's something you can learn from. I always say you can learn more from a loss, and maybe that'll be the case. And so, hey, good learning opportunity, good reset chance for Jackson to say, hey, we're not unbeatable. There's things we can do to work on. And so hopefully they take advantage of it. I know they won big later in the week here. We'll talk about that in a second. So the next day, a couple days later, Wednesday, Notre Dame took on New Madrid. I think that was down at New Madrid. New Madrid won that 48-45. It was a game that I thought was winnable for Notre Dame, so it's tough to see it kind of not go their way. Winning on the road is always tough, I will give you that, but I thought that was a game that they could take advantage of a little bit. Thursday, another one that kind of shocked me. Cape went down to Dexter. Once again, I know winning on the road is tough, whatever reason, focus and, unusual sight lines, things like that, blah, blah, blah. Cape losing to Dexter 37-35 is not good. Dexter is, I think, that now have 4 wins on the season. They're not a great team right now. So this is definitely a game Cape should have won to kind of solidify their standing in the SEMO conference and just keep building positively, because Cape, had a good week. The week before, they'd beaten Notre Dame for the first time in ages. They had some wins, and so they really got to bounce back here after a bad loss there, in my opinion, to Dexter. Saxony, another situation where they were just outclassed here. They played Kennett 62-36 was the final. Similar to the Portageville game. I didn't expect them to win. Kennett is a very, very good team. They are definitively the second best team in the conference. But, I likes these 30 and 40 point losses. I would feel more confident going into the end of the season if you take those 30 and 40 point deficits and they're, 12-18. That would be a huge plus. But as of now, they get blown out there at Kennett. And then finally, Jackson took on Notre Dame. Very lopsided score in the end, 80-27. Jackson coming off of a loss, they're going to be fired up, and they took it out on Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame made a couple shots early. I'll give them that. And they competed. Mia Panton played well for the Bulldogs. She was in double figures, led them in scoring. For Jackson, they were led by Lauren Dory. She had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. Kate Deck had 16 points, 5 assists. Addison Henderson really struggled to score, couldn't really put the ball in the basket. She had 6 points, but she did everything else super well, which is something I always talk about, why she's really important to this team. She does all the little things, all the glue guy stuff, all the nitty-gritty things. She had 9 rebounds, 8 assists, huge numbers there in the assist for her. So kind of flirted with a triple-double, so shout out to her. Everybody else stepped up. Everybody played well. I mean, they won 80-27. Chloe Abernathy played well. Adeline Abernathy really kind of stood out a little bit. Aubrey Baker played well. But, yeah, I mean, everybody played really, really well. They shot the ball super well as a team. They made some shots from the perimeter, so definitely encouraging. And so shout out to them. Congrats to them on a big win for the Indians. And Notre Dame kind of continues a tough stretch here where they're struggling to get some of the upper-tier teams in the area, which is understandable for certain. Looking at a couple other things we got going on here. We had swimming. We had districts going on. We had the SEMO conference meet happening. So when it comes to districts, things like that, I don't have everybody's stats. I just simply don't. I can tell you, though, I have Notre Dame, and I have Jackson and Cape SEMO conference results. So I'll start with Jackson here. As far as medalists go, we had In the 200 medley relay, 200 meter medley relay, Barnfield, LaValle, Tipton, Tushoff came in first place. Also, Lindley came in first place in the 200 freestyle. Then Audrey Tushoff came in third in the 200 freestyle, so just behind Lindley. Madison Tipton in the 200 IM came in second. Elena Kentner came in sixth in the 50 free. Madison Tipton again came in sixth in the 100 butterfly. Eva Barnfield in the 100 freestyle came in second. Also in the 100 free, Annalise Jansen came in fifth. Lindley LaValle came in first in the 500 freestyle. That's too far to swim, simply too far away. Allie Hayes came in fourth there in the 500 free. Eva Barnfield came in second in the 100 back. Audrey Tushoff came in fourth in the 100 back, so a couple of teammates there in the top four. And then the 400 freestyle relay team, they came in first place. So shout out to those girls. Some other honorable mention swimmers they put down here. Annalise Jansen in the 200 free came in eighth place. Eva Wilson, eighth in the 200 IM. Emma Dean, eighth in the 50 free. Allie Hayes, eighth in the 100 butterfly. Elena Kentner, eighth in the 100 backstroke. Emma Dean, seventh in the 100 breaststroke. And right behind her, Eva Wilson, eighth in the 100 breaststroke. They got third place as a team. And so now looking at state for those girls, Jackson swimming and diving page, they put on here, this is their team for state. They've got three seniors, Audrey Tushoff, Allie Hayes, Emma Dean. Go with the one junior, Lindley LaValle, came as lone junior, I said. Sophomore in Madison Tipton, and a freshman in Eva Barnfield. Shout out to those girls earning their way to state. And that will be happening this week, Friday, Saturday. They will be competing. So best of luck to those girls as they make their way to state. Huge accomplishment. Super impressed just getting there. And so best of luck. You'll see what they can do once they do get in the pool, make some action. Then looking at the Tigers SEMO Conference meet, they had the MVP of the SEMO Conference, which is Miss Carson McAllister. Carson McAllister is about as good as they come. Was a champion in the 100 backstroke, which was a new conference record. Champion in the 50 free, and like I mentioned, she was then named the SEMO Conference MVP. Shout out to Carson. Kennedy Ringwald was first in the 100 free, and then second in the 200 free. Chloe Sheridan came in second in her diving event. Sydney Langston came in third in the 500 free, once again, too far, and fifth in the 100 fly. And then their relay teams, they were second in the 200 free and third in the 200 medley. So shout out to all those girls putting up great performances. Shout out to them. Really, really cool to see. So that is kind of what the results I have for swimming. I don't know what Cape's state team looks like for swimming and diving, things like that. But when that is out, I'll talk about it maybe next episode, and then talk about, hopefully I'll pull up the state results, things like that next week, and I'll post about it. And if they post about it on social media, I'll be sharing that, everywhere that you find us here at Exit 99 Sports. Next sport to cover, we got wrestling from this past week. There's another one. Look, I would love to tell you all the results of everybody wrestling everywhere, but not everybody posts all their stuff as publicly. And so once again, the school that does post all their stuff online on Facebook, this is Jackson. If it is somewhere else, if all the other teams, you send me the info, I would love to talk about it. But Jackson in districts, they have three girls that are advancing. As expected, Kaylee Milam gets first. She will be going to state. You got Lily Morningstar got fourth, and then Maeve Novak came in third. So shout out to those three girls. Nice showing here by the girls wrestling program. It's kind of still, it's not new, but it's still kind of in its infant stages as a program. It's been, I know, less than a decade. So shout out to them building that program up. I also saw on the boys' side, Camden Gerhardt got his 100th career win. Shout out to Camden. Then I guess that means we can just go ahead and look at what is coming up this week. We're very, very busy again. lot of teams still in action in basketball, playing regular season. We are in, the end game here for swimming, and we're approaching that as well in wrestling. As far as wrestling goes, the girls are off until a couple weekends from now when they go to state. The boys, this Friday, you've got Notre Dame and Saxony in Class 2 districts. That'll be at St. John. Cape in the Class 3 districts will be at DeSoto, and then Jackson boys, they will be in Lafayette competing in Class 4, District 1. So best of luck to all the boys going up there, all of them going up north. So best of luck to them competing. Hopefully punch a few tickets to state. That'd be really cool. As far as swimming goes, Thursday, Friday is the Class 1 meet, which is Cape, Notre Dame, Saxony. Best of luck to those girls. And then Jackson will be competing Friday, Saturday in the Class 2 meet. So good luck to everybody up there. Go bring home some hardware. It'd be really cool to see. I know we've got some really pretty talented swimmers here in this area in Cape County. So best of luck. And yeah, go finish strong here. Finally, boys basketball. This will probably not be out by the time the game happens, but another tough game. Saxony's hosting Twin Rivers. Twin Rivers, a pretty solid team, pretty competitive in their region. They shoot the ball really, really well, and so Saxony should have their hands full a little bit here. Tuesday, February 17th, we got 3 games. Saxony is going to Scott City, just continuing the meat grinder, man. Scott City is very good. This is a game that's going to be very tough for Saxony. Cape is on the road at Charleston. This should be an interesting matchup. Charleston's definitely going to be the favorite, especially on their home court. They play well at home usually. They're coming off of their best win of the season off the top of my head. They just went to Woodland and blew them out 99-77. So, really high-level basketball is inside of Charleston, but the issue is for Charleston whether or not they can bring out that same level all the time. They really have lacked consistency throughout the season, but I think this is going to be a tough one for Cape Central. Charleston seems like at least that they're peaking right here at the right time. And then Jackson begins a 3-game stretch that will really determine the season. Jackson is having an amazing, amazing year as far as records go. Only 1 loss still, and we're middle of February. That is very, very incredible. They are, I think, number 7 in Class 6, but there's genuine questions still. People online are like, hey, is Jackson good? Are we sure Jackson's good? Which I think is obviously insane, but, the schedule is what the schedule is. Jackson schedules teams, and sometimes the teams that you schedule don't necessarily live up to their end of the bargain, right? So Jackson's 21-1. You just look at some of the games, and it's like, hey, this team is usually state ranked or whatever. They're thought of highly. Farmington, they played twice. Farmington's kind of all right this year. Obviously, they played Sykeston. That is their 1 loss. So a lot of people say Jackson's played 1 good team, and they lost that 1 game, which I understand. But, a Dexter is a solid team. A Festus is a solid team. They played smaller state-ranked teams. They played a Delta. They played a decent Notre Dame team, blew them out. They played a state-ranked Woodland team that has a legit chance to go to a Final Four. Coming off of a Final Four, Jackson beat them by double figures. Played at Farmington twice in total, blew them out the second time. Then you got teams like Hillsboro's maybe a step back from what they were. Kennett's very down. Poplar Bluff is just not as good. Cape is massively a step down from what they have been. They're normally a state-ranked or borderline state-ranked team, and this year they're going to be below 500. Ladue, not as good as they have been, right? And this is a team that was in the Final Four a couple years ago, and year after that, Jackson played them and beat them. They were like 17-0 at the time. So it's a Ladue team that's maybe not living up their end of the bargain. Charleston's a little bit down, even though they're still state-ranked. A lot of people are confused by that. Then to others, New Madrid is down, things like that. So that all leads me to the point of Jackson's spot in playoffs and districts, at least, is still kind of in flux, in my opinion. I was doing thought experiments of like, if this, then that, right? I was doing just if then over and over and over and over again for district seeds. So Jackson has a 3-game stretch here. They go to Seckman on Tuesday. 6 o'clock tip-off, by the way. That's annoyingly early, but your boy will be there. I'll call the game on the radio, 104.7 if you want to listen. At Seckman. Seckman is a district opponent. Seckman is 13-7. They might be better and worse. These teams from St. Louis don't always update their stuff on the Misha website very well. So you got Seckman, 13-7. If Jackson wins that game, then obviously they're going to be ahead of Seckman. If they do beat Seckman, then they're guaranteed a top 3 seed in the district, I would say. Then you've got Sikeston at home. Sikeston at home on Friday, game of the year in Southeast Missouri, I would say. These are probably the 2 best teams in Southeast Missouri. And, Class 6, Class 5, both state ranked. And a rematch from earlier in the year. They played at Sikeston. Jackson lost by 8. Now Sikeston's coming up to Jackson. And Sikeston's going to be tough, man. They're playing really good ball. They've kind of already got the losses out of their system, it feels like. When they went up to St. Dominic, maybe lost a couple games they shouldn't have. But they are a beast, right? They are the class of the SEMO conference. They have been for a while. And I won't say otherwise, right? But so Jackson has this 3-game stretch. I mentioned the first 2 games, and then the third one is at Webster Groves. Webster Groves defending Class 5 state champs. They beat that Sikeston team that was loaded with 5 college basketball players on it last year. They're amazing again this year. They did just get upset the other night, so bad time to get upset, but Jackson would like to have been the team kind of maybe upsetting them, but regardless. So, this 3-game stretch is going to determine pretty much everybody's perception of Jackson and also their seeding in districts. You've got Jackson is 21-1. That looks great and all, but these teams from St. Louis are going to poke holes in it because, you look at a Lindbergh. Lindbergh is 18-5, but Lindbergh has played a tough schedule. Early in the season, they started, I think, 9-0. They won at Marquette. They beat Clayton. They won at Parkway Central. They beat Westminster in a tournament. All big wins. Their losses, Vianney, Eureka twice, Westminster in the rematch. They lost to Pattonville. All these teams are going to finish between, 17 and 20-something wins. Since then, they beat Ladue as well, like Jackson did. They knocked off a decent Lafayette team. They beat a decent Lutheran North team. They beat one at Hickman, which never easy. So you can argue that if things kind of just play out how they should, which they should go 3-0 to end the year, that this is a team that has a case to be above Jackson, especially if the Indians don't perform well in these 3 games. In my opinion, Jackson beats Seckman, loses to Webster Groves and Sikeston. They're going to be the 3 seed behind Lindbergh and then Cardinal Ritter. Cardinal Ritter's in the district. Cardinal Ritter plays a heavy out-of-state schedule. You look at their losses. Their losses are teams from Dallas, Norman, Oklahoma, Lehigh, Utah, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Indianapolis, East St. Louis. So, they play a crazy schedule, right? They beat MICDS. They beat CBC. They beat Battle. They won at Edwardsville. So, they've definitely kind of secured their spot there near the top of the district. So I could see them very well winning out here to close out the season and them being the 1 seed. Jackson has to perform here. They got to go 2-1. If they go 2-1, they give themselves a shot at the 1 seed. If they go 3-0, I think they guarantee the 1 seed. But if they go 2-1, I think you find a way to make them 1 or 2, presumably. Now, regardless, if you're the 1 seed, that's huge. Obviously, that'll be very important. If you're the 2 or the 3, it doesn't necessarily matter because you're probably just going to be facing whoever is the 2 or the 3, but above you or below you. So, but that's kind of my thought process. I just want to get that all out of my brain. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and like I said, the whole perception of Jackson is really going to come down to the next week of basketball for him. At Seckman the 17th, home against Sikeston the 20th, at Webster Groves the 23rd. That will pretty much determine the season. Is just Jackson team legit or not? And they're about to get a real opportunity to test it against some of the best teams in the state. So best of luck. All right. I'm sorry I spent so much time on that, but I'm telling you, that's been racking my brain for days. Thursday this week, Notre Dame continues a tough end to their season as well. They will be hosting Bernie. Bernie, obviously, a really, really good small school. That's another team that can shoot the lights out. They have a ton of guards that can handle, can shoot. When they get hot, guys like Blaine Morgan, Geiling, one kid whose name escapes me. They got the big kid inside Acock, who's pretty good around the rim, 6'5", 6'6", something like that. They're going to be tough. It'd be at Notre Dame, so that's obviously going to be helpful. You kind of get to see what the transitive property is here of a Class 2 team that's good playing a Class 4 team that is also having a pretty good year in Notre Dame. I've been really, really impressed. That was a team I've been high on since before the season started. I really like this group, this young group of guys. The underclassmen, things like that. I'm a big fan of. I've known these kids. I've seen these kids play basketball since they were like 6 years old. So I've been high on them. I think they are maybe a step above what Notre Dame has been playing with recently, and so I'm really excited to see them playing well. They're 15-8 right now. The other kid I was trying to think of was Kane Hobgood. Hobgood can shoot the lights out. Notre Dame's playing good ball. I'm really encouraged by what I've seen, and hope it's able to continue. They have a tough close to the year as well. Bernie Thursday. Friday, you've got Saxony at Kennett. Tough to go on the road that far. That's a long road trip down there. And that'll be the last regular season game for Saxony this season before they head to districts. Cape Central will be hosting Gateway. I believe that is senior night for Cape Central. So shout out to them. Big senior class there. Best of luck. I think that's a game they can win against Gateway. And then I mentioned it, the game of the week here, Jackson hosting Sykeston. Everybody will be there. I'm sure it's going to be packed house. It's going to be a lot of people from Sykeston up there. Sykeston is, they're the standard bearer, right? They are the team to beat. Sykeston is, they're a powerhouse. This is what they do. They are the best team in Southeast Missouri year in and year out. Usually if they're not the best team one year, they're going to be the next year. Sykeston is undefeated in the SEMO conference this year, and the last SEMO conference loss that Sykeston had was actually to Jackson. Was it last year? No. Was it the year before last year? Also, no. They have not lost in the SEMO conference to anybody since the 22-23 season. They lost a few games that year. The last one being their senior night. Jackson beat them 62-44 on February 17th, 2023. 3 years later, Sykeston has not lost to anybody in the SEMO conference or anybody in Southeast Missouri. Right? Anybody at all in Southeast Missouri. So, they're the top dog. They're the favorite coming into this game. Just the fact that I think people are questioning whether they will win or can win is going to be huge motivation for them. They're usually a team that doesn't have a lot of bulletin board material because everybody is trying to get to their level. So they're going to definitely come in fired up. It's going to be an interesting ball game. The first one was low scoring, tough. Jackson turned it over 1 million times. So, I would say the recipe here, limit turnovers. Jackson turned it over about 20 times, 20-plus times, 20-something times. If Jackson's able to keep the turnovers 12 and under, probably, they have a shot. Also in that game, it's, chicken or the egg here. Sykeston shot really, really poorly. This is a team that has a lot of dudes that can shoot it from three, whether it's Kobe Thomas is knocked down, Ben James, Sean Cole, Marquell Murray. They've got the Allen kid, Quay Allen. They have kids all over the floor that can go just Drano on you. They put up like 23s against Cape the other day. And so they did not shoot well at all in the first matchup between these two teams. Now, is that because they were having a bad shooting night, or is it because Jackson played good defense? I don't know what the answer is necessarily. I know Jackson is a very, very good defensive team, but I also know this is a Sikeston team that plays at a high level and can absolutely stroke it. And so Jackson's going to have their hands full. This is the toughest game of the year, part 2. So Jackson now has lost 3 consecutive against Sikeston. They lost close at home a couple years ago, 71-68. That was a really fun game. Then they got blown out last year at Sikeston, 81-58. And earlier this year at Sikeston in the SEMO Conference Tournament, 55-47. So I'm not a prediction guy. Obviously, I'll be rooting for Jackson. I'll be on the call for the game. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game. Sikeston is the real deal. And then Saturday, you got a couple of games Saturday. Cape goes on the road to Poplar Bluff. Once again, I mean, it's a gettable game for Cape. It's going to be on the road, which is always hard. But Poplar Bluff probably doesn't have great fan support right now. The kids are probably not motivated to get up there on a Saturday and show up. So maybe the atmosphere isn't crazy and raucous, and maybe Cape can come out of there with a win. Poplar Bluff's struggling right now. Notre Dame, speaking of teams, reasons Poplar Bluff's struggling, they just got killed by Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they're going to have their hands full too. They have a very long road trip. They have to go to Washington, Missouri to face off against St. Francis Borgia. Borgia's a good team. I mean, they've got a Hall of Fame coach that has won, like, I'm maybe mildly overestimating when I say like 1,000 career games there. So this is a program that shows up year in and year out, one of the very best in the state. They keep a high standard Class 4 team. So comparable there for Notre Dame. Yeah, Borgia's the real deal. It was Coach Dave Nyer. Coach Dave Nyer has been there forever, and he is one of the best. They are led by a kid named Emery Warman. Warman, Woehrmann. Warman. He is legit. Kid can put up 30 in the blink of an eye. He's a real deal scorer, big time shooter, but can score at all 3 levels. So yeah, they're going to have to play a great ball game to go up there and win. It is very hard to go into Borgia and come out with a win. That is a very devoted fan base. Those kids do show up. They support. Doesn't matter if it's on a Saturday or not. They will be out in mass. So best of luck to the Bulldogs. Got to show up. TBD on the time. So I think the game's happening. We shall see. TBD on the time. Maybe the game isn't happening. Maybe I'm making all this up. Anyway, if it is happening, it'll be a great game. Looking at girls basketball this week, you've got, once again, probably the games that will come out before you hear me talk about it, but Saxony is going to Jackson. Look, this is a game that Jackson's probably going to win by a big number. The Indians are just in a much better spot right now than Saxony is. Saxony, you saw they've lost big to Kennett, lost big to Portageville. Expect it to be a similar, but maybe even a bigger margin at Jackson. Cape is on the road at Woodland, never an easy place to go play at. This is definitely a gettable game once again for Cape, though. You know, Woodland is a little bit down from where they have been. Cape did beat them last year at their place, so it's a game that I think they can win. Notre Dame will be hosting Farmington. Farmington's a good team. That'll be a very tough ball game for Notre Dame. Maybe get some home crowd, maybe get some home court cooking, pull off an upset over the Knights. I'm always a fan of a team doing that. Wednesday, Notre Dame is back out at Scott City. Win a game that, this is a winnable one for the Bulldogs, in my opinion. Scott City, maybe a step back from what they have been. Maybe from what they were a few years ago, but they're an okay team. But this is a game. It'll be on the road. It'll be tough. But it's definitely a game I think Notre Dame could come out with a win in. And speaking of that, Cape is hosting Sikeston. Same deal. I think this is an opportunity for the Tigers to win against a SEMO conference opponent in Sikeston, and it'll be on their home floor. So I hope the kids show out, support the girls, and push them to victory. Thursday, Saxony is hosting North County. North County, I think they're a little bit down from what they have been the last decade or so, but overall still a very tough team. No, I'm lying. They're 17-5, so just kidding. They're 17-5. Continues a really, really tough end to the season for Saxony. I mentioned it. This month they've played at Dexter. They hosted Notre Dame, at Portageville, Kennett, at Jackson, and home against North County. It's a tough, tough way to end the season. And that will be Saxony's last game of the regular season. So best of luck, and hopefully they pull off an upset. It'd be very cool. Friday, Notre Dame. It's bring your hard hat. This is gonna be a matchup. Notre Dame is hosting Corhay Zoo. Corhay Zoo is a top 5, top 10 type team in the entire state of Missouri. They're going to be similar to a Jackson. So let's strap in if you're Notre Dame here. Let's play hard, do your best, but this Corhay Zoo team is going to bring the heat here with them. And then Cape is hosting Gateway Legacy girls basketball Friday. That'll be their last regular season game, which really took me by surprise, the 20th, because they are then off forever until district tournament starts first week of March, sometime between probably the 2nd. So the tournament is listed as 2nd through the 6th. So the bracket's not out yet for the bigger classes, so we'll wait on that. But yeah, Cape is going to have a huge break before districts. And then Saturday, Corhay Zoo, probably just going to stay in Cape at a hotel, I guess. They will be playing at Jackson at noon at the Jackson Event Center. So come out for that. This is going to be, the Jackson-Dexter game was a big one. The Jackson-St. Vincent game was a very big one. Corhay Zoo doesn't have the local ties as those other teams do, but Corhay Zoo is who knocked Jackson out of the playoffs last year. Jackson won at Corhay Zoo last season in double overtime. It was one of the most insane games I watched all year. So, yeah, you want to see the best basketball in Southeast Missouri this season, get a tent and camp out at the Jackson Event Center, because Friday the boys are going to be hosting Sykeston for the SEMO Conference Championship, essentially, and the unofficial crown of the best team in Southeast Missouri. And then the next day at noon, Jackson girls will be hosting Corhay Zoo at their home floor. So that's going to be awesome. It's going to be a big time atmosphere. I'm really fired up for that game. It's the game. Get out, come watch it. Corhay Zoo is legit. Like I said, Jackson's going to be motivated. And also, Jackson's going to see him again, if we're being honest. Jackson's going to see him again in the district championship game, and the district title game is going to be at Corhay Zoo. So we're about to have a home and home, but unfortunately the back half of the home and home is going to be for the district title. So Corhay Zoo, 16-4. Their losses are Belleville East, Incarnate Word, who's the best team in the state by a mile. They lost them twice. And then Lutheran St. Charles by 4. So it's going to be a ball game, man. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be, my hope is that there's going to be some Jackson fans show up, kids get there, be loud, come support your team, and hopefully push them to victory. So it's a big one. I'm excited. Going to be a lot of great basketball over at Jackson this week. So, man, there's a lot to look forward to. I started off with the swimming and wrestling, so best of luck to all those athletes in state. I will, just for fun, take a look at some of the district brackets here. Those have come out in classes 1, 2, and 3. And, look, I talk about what we have going on up here in Cape Jackson area. That's kind of my preferred region. I live here. I've grown up here, so I'm pretty familiar with the basketball going on here and things like that, the coaches, players. So that's what I'm kind of most comfortable with, but I would like to take a look and kind of just go up and down class 1 through 3 real quick, look at the brackets we've got. I did talk about this. If you want to hear me talk some more, you can check out SEMO ESPN, me and Rusty Hendricks Saturday. We talked about all the district tournaments going on, things like that. So Class 1, District 1 is where I'll start. I mean, I'm anticipating it to just be the Risco versus Cooter trilogy. Those teams have played each other now 2 times. Risco won the first one. Cooter won the second one. So this is boys basketball, by the way. I'm anticipating those 2 teams will be in the finals, and it should be fun. In Class 1, District 2, a couple of teams that I've seen play at the Christmas tournament. Delta is the 1 seed. Bell City's the 2. Leopold's the 3. This is the Delta Invitational in my mind. I think they win this tournament going away. Bell City's not the same without the Richardson kid. I don't think he's playing. He's out for the year with an injury. And then Leopold, very solid. I really like their team, but I think Delta's just got too much firepower for them. So I lean pretty heavy on the Bobcats. So that'll be cool. I mean, then the winners of those 2, either Risco or Cooter, will be playing against probably Delta. And that game, that sectional between District 1 and 2, will be played at Advance. So that'd be very cool. And then the winner of that game will be playing in Van Buren, probably against Bunker. So there's a chance to go to the Final Four. So that'd be really neat. Over in Class 2, got some more way down in the Boot Heel teams. Class 2, District 1. You got Hayti as the 1 seed. Cena Torresville the 2. South Pim the 3. I mean, Hayti is the favorite in my opinion. I would like to see a Hayti South Pimmiscott rematch. Those teams are very fun. They're going to get up and down, and they've got experience playing this time of year, so that should be a heck of a battle if we do get to see that as the final. But Cena Torresville could definitely be there. Class 2, District 2 is a little out of our area. Van Buren is the one. It's going to be played at Van Buren, though. I'd like to see Van Buren advance there. Class 2, District 3 is everybody's favorite district to talk about. I get it. It's very deep. Puxico's the 1. They went to the Final Four last year. Bernie's the 2 seed. They're fun. Charleston's the 3 seed. All the history. 4 seed is Chaffee, another fun small school team. And then Advance is the 5. Advance has been a revelation. Shout out to Ethan Barr. Ethan Barr used to dominate people in the post back in the day, and now he's really kind of revamped that team, turned them into just a gritty, hard-nosed defensive team. And I know a lot of Chaffee people were upset at their seed. I get it. They've been playing really good basketball. Charleston had not when the seeds came out. Everybody feels vindicated now because Charleston beat Woodland. But Charleston is a roller coaster, man. So, I mean, I have no idea what to expect. I'd like to see a Bernie versus Charleston semifinal. I'd like to see a Puxico versus Chaffee semifinal. Advance can beat Chaffee, though. Advance can come up and bite some people. So, you know, Fowler, McMullen, they got to show up. These games will all be played at Bloomfield. I mean, it's Puxico's until proven wrong. Puxico has just been so dominant, especially against teams their own weight class. Nobody's been able to touch them. Bernie has played them a couple times, the 2 seed, and they've won both games by double figures. You know, the winner of that district will be playing the winner of District 4, which is St. Vincent. St. Vincent will probably be winning that. So that will be very fun to watch. Puxico will probably be facing St. Vincent. In that game, Puxico, or whoever wins District 3, will be playing St. Vincent at Notre Dame here in Cape. So that'd be cool. A chance to go watch some really, really good small school basketball. And then the winner, Puxico and St. Vincent, I'm leaning Puxico, will be facing the winner of District 1 and 2. That game will be at Dexter. So all those games staying local here. That will be very cool. Class 3, District 1. Very wide open district. Crothersville, New Madrid, Malden, Twin Rivers. Anything can happen there. Malden is hosting. But, you know, New Madrid, any of those teams could really come out. Those 4 teams, any of them would not surprise me to see them come out. And then, you know, an absolute war is about to happen in Class 3, District 2. Scott City versus Woodland is going to be awesome. Those are going to be the top 2 seeds there in that district. And I'm fired up about what we can see coming out of there. It's not seeded yet. Technically, the bracket's not out for Class 3, District 1, 2, things like that. But it's going to be a rematch of those 2 teams. Woodland got them in the Christmas tournament, and last year Woodland beat them by 1, I think on a buzzer beater in the district title game. Scott City, though, looking good right now. Woodland coming off a tough loss, but Woodland has a chance to rebound. They're playing Puxico this week. And last year they didn't play very good in February, and they still went to the Final Four. So very excited about that. That'll be way up north at West County High School, out west of Park Hills, Bonne Terre region. Their sectional will be at Bloomfield, and then the potential quarterfinal will be at St. Genevieve, probably against a team from St. Louis region. So I'm anticipating whoever wins District 2 to be a team that goes to the Final Four, just to be honest. So we'll talk about Class 4, 5, and 6 next week. I already have some thoughts about them. Obviously, we're not seeded yet, things like that. But, very exciting time of basketball here, and of wrestling, and of swimming. But, I'll never not admit to being a basketball guy. So I'm very fired up, very excited to see just how the season plays out here. We're at the end. Kind of stinks. I do love basketball season. And you very quickly, as soon as you hit the postseason, just the teams start just dwindling down really quickly. And so in about a week or two of postseason play, there's going to be, 3-4 teams from all of Southeast Missouri left. So, I'll be rooting for all of our teams here in the county, and then obviously further south in the Boot Heel, I'll be rooting for all those teams as well. Last shout out here. Anything stand out? The SEMO men did beat Lindenwood, so shout out to the SEMO men's basketball team. They're staying hot even after a bad loss. Caden Bogenpole back in action for Missouri State. One of the best baseball players in the country. He had a very, very fun first game of the season, had a crazy diving catch in the outfield, followed it up by a just bomb, a moonshot home run. And he played well. First couple games I saw, he got walked a bunch, so probably going to see a lot of that. But shout out to him, shout out to everybody. Baseball is coming around. We will get into baseball, but I won't get into baseball until basketball is pretty much totally wrapped in our area. So we'll be going into the first week of March or so. That's when Class 4, 5, 6 districts are going to be getting tipped off. I've been looking ahead to broadcast Jackson games, so those will be sometime around like the 3rd, 5th, 7th, something like that. So we're there. We're at the very, very end of this season. So it's exciting. And best of luck to all the teams. Best of luck to all the coaches here. It's what it's all about. Closing out the season, trying to play your best basketball at the right time. Other sports, be competing at the best. Be healthy here this time of year. And wrestling, that's pretty much more important than anything. Just what teams and what individuals are just healthy right now. Really, really makes a big difference. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. You can subscribe, like, hit me up, and message me wherever. You can look me up personally, Caleb DeLoach, or any of our Exit 99 Sports social media pages if you want to share any info, or if you ever need to correct me on something. Holler at me. Let me know. I'm always available. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure to get out here, go watch some of these awesome games we still have going up. Go support the kids competing in the postseason. Very, very important time. A lot of, high school careers coming to an end. It's always tough. So be there for all those kids. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.